Sure. So yeah, hello everyone. Good evening and very good afternoon and good morning to each and every one of you. I am Manya Khanna and Senior Associate of Operations and Corporate Relations. Welcome you all on behalf of Karuna Mediation and Arbitration Institute and our founder, Mr. Sahil Kapoor. So being a family dispute resolution practitioner and a mediation enthusiast, he founded Karuna Mediation an arbitration institute with a vision to spread awareness of mediation for resolving dispute with compassion and empathy. So in progress and awareness towards our mission, we organize such kind of webinars to spread awareness about mediation to students, professionals, and who all will be such a future building blocks in this particular sector. We have announced also our internationally recognized mediator training January 2023 weekend batch in collaboration with PMS Solutions United Kingdom, aggregated with IMI and CMC United Kingdom. This training has been done by Ms. McAndry, and who is an award-winning mediator trainer. After successful completion of this training and assessment, you will become an IMI qualified mediator. You can learn about more this training and register for the batch by visiting our company's page website. And today's webinar will be on mediation as a profession in an international context. And to impart and share knowledge about today's topic, we have with our expert panelist will throw lights to all the facts related to the mediation profession in international context and how one can be a successful mediator and getting trained about mediation. I would like to introduce you all with our expert panelist, Ms. McAndry. She had an over decade of experience in civil and commercial mediation and acted as a supervisory mediator. Is dual registered with Civil Mediation Council for civil, commercial, and workplace mediation, and was also awarded a fellowship of the CMC in recognition of her extensive mediation expertise. Ma'am has an extensive practice in civil and commercial and workplace disputes. She is a director of Essential Mediation Solutions and has also shared her knowledge about mediation at international conferences, and also spoke on BBC Radio about mediation and authored several published articles. In 2015, she won the Rising Star National Award from the Professional Mediators Association and also been awarded a mediation expert of the UK for 2020 and 2021 by the Global Advisory Expert. And now she has been having good news, and I congratulate you, ma'am. It's such a pleasure for us and for our audience to have you for today's session. And I request to all the participants to please, if you have, mute yourself in between of the sessions. And if you have any questions, do write us in the chat box or keep it with yourself. In the end, we make sure to solve all the queries. If by chance we are not able to do that, please write us to our email IDs and we will try to solve all your queries as soon as possible. I request all of you to please switch on your camera if possible from your end side before starting today's session. Now I should raise my first question to you, ma'am. My first question is, what is mediation and what role does mediation play in our daily routine life?
Okay, thank you, Manya. First of all, thank you for that lovely introduction, and I am delighted to be here to speak to you all today. So what is mediation was your first question there. So mediation is an alternative method of resolving disputes. So legal disputes, thought is a different way of dealing with those disputes. It is highly successful. There has been surveys done in England by an organisation called CEDA, and they regularly find that the statistics for successful mediation are 70% on the day of mediation and a further 20% settle shortly thereafter. So if you're any good at maths, then that's a grand total of 90% of mediations do reach agreement. So mediation focuses on the future, and it's about creating sustainable solutions to problems so they don't reoccur. Mediation provides a safe and supportive environment where the independent third party, the mediator, facilitates communication and negotiation and helps guide the parties to reach a mutually acceptable solution. It's very important that as a mediator you remain impartial and independent and you don't take sides. It's not the mediator's role to tell the parties what they should do to resolve their dispute. They shouldn't give any advice, legal advice, or otherwise any kind of advice should not be given by the mediator. It's the parties that decide the solution. One of my mantras is it's their dispute and their solution. So the mediator is in charge of the process, but the parties are in charge of the outcome. And that's another mantra I like to say when I'm doing my course. The mediator is in charge of the process. You're in charge of the process as the mediator, but the parties are in charge of the outcome. So it's really empowering for parties. And it's much more likely to have longevity of success. They know their conflict better than anyone, even the mediator could possibly imagine. And so they know what is much more likely to work for them. They might be maybe neutrally mildly unhappy at the outcome because maybe they've both had to compromise, but still the outcome it's still better than the cost, time and stress of going to court. So they have to make that balance. Do I accept what's on the table here now, or do I go to court? Am I likely to get something better, much better, or slightly better? And what is the cost, time and energy going to be like to get to that other result? So it's the mediator that helps them balance that up. So the parties are in complete control of that. When you go to court as a party, you gift your control to the judge, whereas in mediation you retain that control. You don't have to agree to anything you don't want to agree to. You even have to agree to anything at all. You still have the right to step out of mediation and to go to court. And talking about settlement options, there are much wider settlement options in mediation than you would have if you went to court. So going to court, you get money, compensation, damages. In a mediation, you can think beyond just money. So, for example, you might have an apology, you might have an acknowledgement, you might have processes being put in place so this doesn't happen again. You might have a contract between businesses that you can rewrite to overcome this problem. You can't get that at court. So that's another huge benefit of mediating. There are much wider options available to you. It's also a voluntary process. Parties agree to step into mediation. However, having said that, here in the UK, the courts are pushing mediation a lot more. The parties are being penalised in costs if they don't mediate. And sometimes judges even direct parties to go away and mediate. So I do have a bit of a question mark over whether it is truly voluntary anymore. And our government is actually looking at making mediation mandatory because of all the host of benefits it brings. And the court system is backlogged. I mean, it was busy anyway, but after COVID, that backlog is massive. So the government are looking at mandatory mediation to try and clear that backlog. Another benefit is it is confidential. So everything that happens within a mediation stays between the mediator and the parties. And that's one of the keystones of mediation. And that can be really useful. For example, if reputation, you don't want your reputation to be damaged by going to court. Even if you think I'm going to win at court, sometimes, the juicier the dispute, the more it's going to be publicised by the media. And mud sticks. So sometimes, even if you're innocent, it's out there that you've been accused of something. So mediation can help in the confidential nature of it. And it can also help preserve relationships, because going to court, it's so acrimonious. You're not going to salvage any relationship there. But if you mediate, you can salvage relationships. If you want to continue a business working relationship, that's much more doable in mediation than it will be going to court. The other question you asked, Manya, was what role does mediation play in our daily life? Well, I would say conflict is an everyday occurrence. When you train in mediation, you learn why you behave in a certain way when you're in conflict, the psychology behind it, and also why others behave in a certain way. And that's a really incredibly useful in everyday life, to have that deep understanding of behavior. And the skills you will learn, they're just incredibly transferable to everyday life. You will learn how to actively listen, how to communicate well, how to obtain information, a bit of body language, and loads of other mediation techniques that are so useful when you're communicating with other people, whether it be friends, family, or in a professional setting with work, in meetings, when being interviewed, when talking to clients. So there's so many uses for mediation in daily life. I mediate between my teenage children on a daily basis. So yeah, useful in all sorts of ways. I hope that answers your question there, Manya.
Yeah, surely, ma'am. Yeah, that's very true of you. That mediation really plays a very interesting role in our daily life. When I have got trained, I do have acquired so many skills. That too little bit, but yeah, I have acquired that skills to be attained and having a daily in my daily communications.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Powerful.
So yeah.
Powerful.
So I should forward it with my second question. And my second question is, what all skills need to be acquired to become a good mediator? And can these skills be learned through international mediation training program?
Yes, so I think some people have these skills naturally anyway. And some of you will find, oh, I'm really good at doing this. I'm really good at active listening. I'm really good at communicating. So some people will have them naturally. But otherwise, yes, they can certainly be learned through an international mediation training program. So the role of the mediator, firstly, is to understand what are the key issues of the dispute and what are the parties' positions and perspectives on that. And then secondly, the mediator needs to manage and guide the interaction between the parties by facilitating focused, productive discussion. And then lastly, they need to reform or reframe problems so that the parties are able to work towards a sustainable solution to the dispute. So the skills required, I think the main skill is active listening. So that is listening to truly understand rather than listening to reply. Yeah, so it's listening without any judgment, having complete focus, complete concentration to truly absorb what the party is telling you. And that can be quite a tiring thing to do, to just listen. It's surprising. So active listening is a great skill that we teach on the course. We also have exploring of the issues, so we identify what are the key issues, and we do that by obtaining information skills. So that's questioning techniques, how to question to get the full story, and knowing what questions not to ask as well. We have other skills such as management skills, so we govern the interaction between the parties, and we need to be able to deal with emotions as well. So quite often you'll find there's anger, frustration, upset in mediation, even in commercial disputes. We are human beings at the end of the day, we are people, and everyone has emotions. So we learn how to let those emotions out and allow parties to vent in a safe and supportive environment. And we learn how to deal with those emotions and then how to move past them as well. Another skill would be, I think, reality testing. So that is where you help the parties to understand, if they don't settle at the mediation, what is the reality going to be? So that is using negotiation skills, such as what is the best, worst and realistic alternatives to a settlement on the mediation day. And I suppose overall, it's guiding the parties towards an agreement without actually telling them what to do. That's quite a trick in itself. That's quite difficult. Quite often the solution can be really obvious to you as mediator, having heard both perspectives. And that is a skill and technique in itself, to tease solutions out of the parties rather than just telling them what to do. Especially, I think, natural problem solvers and lawyers, so used to giving advice and telling people how they can solve the problems. So keeping that back can sometimes be quite an art in itself. So yeah, all these skills are taught on the professional mediation training programme, and there are plenty of opportunities to put all those skills into practice. There's lots of interactive activities which are really fun, a fun way of putting those skills into practice, and there's lots and lots of role playing as well, where you will be practicing dealing with the mediation and bringing all those skills to play whilst you're doing that. So yeah.
So means that these skills will also be helpful in our daily routine too, with our
Absolutely.
extra other working fields in other working fields also.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everyday life and working life, both.
Yeah. So my third question is, what all benefits are involved in becoming a skilled mediator through a professional mediation training program?
Okay, well, firstly, you get the qualification, which is always a nice benefit, isn't it, to have that additional qualification there, and it is an internationally recognised qualification. You will gain all those transferable skills that we've just been talking about that you can apply to daily life, not just to your mediations. Also, the benefits of training through an internationally accredited mediation course means that you get a qualification that meets international standards. So the International Mediation Institute, the IMI, is the only body that sets practice standards for mediators around the world. And they promote mediation as a dispute resolution process globally as well. So you benefit from being part of their brand. They are the international standard setting body for mediation, and gaining the qualification means that you can say that you are IMI certified. So that means that you are part of an international group of mediators of a very high standard. So you can use your direct profile links, and you get an IMI logo as well, saying you are an IMI mediator. So you can use that when you're marketing yourself to show you are a high quality mediator. You've been through high quality training, and when you compare to your peers, that can be a benefit to you to have that. The IMI has also got a Find a Mediator page, so you can be listed on that if you register with them, and users, so people who are looking for a mediator, will visit that page, and so that means that you've got the opportunity to be found for work by being listed on that page. And some international corporate users have said that they will only use mediators who are listed with the IMI. So, you're automatically going up, in the possibility of finding work. And you've got the credibility of having that as well. And 90% of people who use mediators, they say they want them to be professionally certified and have the transparent standards of conduct. So you are distinguished from your peers by being IMI certified. It isn't a quality mark that will distinguish you. I would say it's probably the closest we've got to a gold standard for international mediators. You might be interested as well that you would be automatically eligible for certification by the Singapore International Mediation Institute as well. And the IMI will help market you. So say you get a particular professional success, then they will help market you in their area as well. So being part of the IMI is hugely beneficial. Having that quality stamp of approval from the IMI, being able to say you're registered with the IMI, it just sets you apart.
Surely, ma'am. So, ma'am, my fourth question is, what is IMI about? And about after completion of IMI accredited mediation training, how it's helpful in building an international mediation practice?
Okay, so first of all, what is IMI About? So it stands for the International Mediation Institute. It is a non-profit interest initiative, and its aim is to drive standards into the mediation practice around the world. I think it was established about 15 years ago, and its aim was to set out internationally applicable quality standards for mediators, and they have an international mediator credentialing scheme. So they work with institutions around the world to ensure and rise raise that quality in the field. So they offer a trust mark of high quality mediators and mediation training. So they have a minimum international standard for training providers. So they don't provide training themselves, but they set criteria for training providers. They have very robust standards. They're not easy to meet. It's quite a rigorous process of approval that I know, because we've been through it. They do really properly look at the training standards. So they approve trainers, but they also will register people who've been through that training as IMI qualified mediators or certified mediators. So that's what they do. They set standards, they approve trainers, and they have a register of high quality mediators. How that can be helpful in building international mediation practice. Well, like I say, I mean, being an IMI qualified mediator, it means that you've completed a training program that meets those international standards. So those standards are independent measures of quality and are recognised around the world. So you gain the competency to start your career. You have international recognition for that, and that will enhance your career mobility. And the programmes provide future focused support for professional development. So, for example, I offer all my delegates the opportunity to observe a mediation. So if I have an online mediation, for example, for those of you in India, it's a bit far for you to travel, isn't it, to come and observe me in person? But a lot of mediations are still online now. So I offer people the opportunity to come and observe me mediating. I do workplace as well as civil and commercial, so you might be interested in seeing the difference perhaps and watching me do a workplace mediation, or like I say, civil and commercial mediation as well. So you get that little bit of aftercare as well that probably most training providers don't always give. So that's an additional benefit of having that to help start your career. And I can also help, I'm part of the Mediator network, which is also a global organisation, and they also help people get started in their mediation career. So if you do want to start a mediation career after having done the training, then I can help put you in touch with them and help get you going with them. I mean, not everyone does the training to become a mediator. A lot of people do it just for the skills and the qualification. But if you did want to be a mediator, then we can help afterwards the steps. I mean, you've got to market yourself. You'll be self-employed or join panels, for example. So, I mean, you've got to put the hard work in yourself as well. But we can certainly assist in that as part of the international organisation.
Thank you, ma'am, for the wonderful observing opportunity, and that too with connecting with other mediators. My next question is, what opportunities can open up after successful completion of an international accredited mediation training program?
Okay, so, well, as an internationally accredited mediator, there's a wide variety of career paths open to you. As litigation continues to rise around the world, mediation is becoming an increasingly popular method of resolving disputes quickly, privately, and cost effectively outside the courtroom or tribunal. So there's a lot of opportunity for work there as a mediator. Also, you'll find that a lot of people do this with lawyers. So if you are a lawyer, you might be maybe doing a litigation case, and because you've done the mediation training, you have a really good understanding of what mediation is. And that means if you have a case that is appropriate for mediation, you'll be able to give a full explanation of what that is to your client. You'll also be able to represent them much better in a mediation context. So a lot of budding law students going into the legal profession have found that having the mediation qualification helps them get a legal job. So there's the legal job, there's the acting as a mediator. A lot of people also do mediation on the side, alongside another career. So, because it's the kind of thing that you just pick up a case and, you know, you might be instructed to do a case you'll do that case and then you'll do it in a day and then it's done and you can move on. So it's something that really slots into very nicely alongside another career, because you can pick a case at a time and it's short. So you can do it very, very easily alongside other jobs if you didn't want to be a full-time mediator. But the profession is growing. And mediators can also be employed in a host of different other things, in a range of businesses, because of those transferable skills. So schools, universities, local and national governments, insurance companies, there's just so all those sorts of, anywhere that would have a good a need for good communication skills or negotiation skills can help you along a wide range of career options. But as well, you can obviously become a mediator too. What else could you do? I think careers in management, customer service, sales, negotiating roles, all those sort of things would be really benefit from having the mediation skill set that you would learn on a course.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. My sixth question is, you being a successful and winning award mediator and a trainer too. So can you please share about your journey to reaching at this level so that our participants can also get to know about it and correlate with that?
Yes, of course. So my journey was, it's quite a long journey into mediation. So I started out my working life as a lawyer. So I was a commercial litigator, so doing the opposite of what I do now. I was suing people on behalf of clients, taking people to court. Whilst I was a lawyer, mediation just started to become something in England. And I do remember having to give a talk to my my law firm about what is mediation, because we're like, what's this thing called mediation? And that's what sparked my first interest in it. Now, I also actually had the opportunity to take part in a mediation. So because I had done this talk on mediation, one of the partners in my law firm, they were doing a mediation, so they said, Emma, do you want to come along as well? I was like, yes, please, I'd love to come along. So I went and sat in on a mediation from a lawyer's point of view, and I was just fascinated by the process. It was a long day, but I just thought there's something in this. Then I became a lecturer in law. So because I had the love for the law, a love for education and a love for training, that was sort of my next natural step. And whilst I was a lecturer, I specialised in mediation. So I'm lecturing in law, but I could see this other thing called mediation that I'd found out a little bit about when I was practicing, but it's becoming bigger and bigger, and there's getting more and more interest around it. So I decided to train as a mediator. This is over 10 years ago now, a long time ago, and practice. So I practiced mediation. I was the in-house workplace mediator for the university. I also created a centre for mediation. So within that, we did research, we did conferences, we did the training, and we also had a mediation clinic. So the mediation clinic was pro bono. So people who'd learnt the skills as a mediator could practice them in a safe environment, having their hand held by me, because I had more experience in mediation. So I'd hold the hand of people who wanted to practice their skills in a safe environment. But obviously also the users got the benefit because they were getting a free service as well. So it was a typical mediation win-win situation where, the people giving the service and the people using the service all benefited. So I had that experience for about 15 years. And then I decided all I want to do is mediate and train in mediation. So it was quite a leap of faith leaving a full-time regular salary, but I took it because I was just passionate about it and wanting to do that. So I left there. I set up Essential Mediation Solutions, and now I am a full-time mediator. I practice civil and commercial mediation. I practice workplace mediation as well. Slightly different beast. Skills are the same, but it's a slightly different, well, content is obviously different and the structure is different for workplace. And I also obviously do the training. I do training in all sorts of conflict programs. My main ones are the civil and commercial mediation training. And I do CPD days for mediators. So mediators who need to keep up their skills. In the UK, the Civil Mediation Council say that mediators should do 6 hours of mediation specific continuing professional development a year, which isn't that onerous. So we do a 6-hour day so people can top up their skills, refresh their skills and practice with a bit of role playing. So I do mostly training in becoming a mediator, but I do training in other areas of conflict as well. So that's my story.
It was so fascinating to know about you. It's very amazing. It's been such a long journey in mediation you have, and further to continue ahead also.
Thank you.
So my next question is, you being an expert and award-winning trainer, having such a long journey in mediation training, could you please tell us more about your international civil and commercial training and what accreditation it's providing and how it will be beneficial for the trainees?
Okay, so the training itself it's over 5 days. It's quite intense, I'm not going to lie. It's not easy. There's a lot to learn. You've got the structure, the skills, the practice. So it is quite intense, but it is fun as well, because it is very enjoyable, because it's interactive and you get to do a lot. I'm a big believer in you learn by doing. So we take you from the journey from when you first get instructed as a mediator. So what do you do before the mediation has even begun, right the way to the very, very end point. So we teach you what to do before mediation even has begun, and what you need to do, what you need to do to prepare yourself and the parties for the mediation. I then teach the actual mediation in stages, because I find there's a tendency for delegates to want to rush to the solution stage because everyone wants to sort it out. So I teach it in stages. So I put the brakes on people. So you can't jump to solution. You have to do the stages in turn. So we start off with identifying what are the key issues and getting a general overview. And then we look at exploring those issues in much greater detail. We move from positions to interests. And what I mean by that is, positions are a categoric statement of the ultimate outcome that a party wants, whereas the needs are the underlying motivation for why they want that. So there's a difference there between wants and needs, which is essentially top and bottom line for where they want to go with their negotiations. So we explore how we go about moving from positions to interests, and then we do the solution stage. And what happens when we do start to get an agreement in principle? How do we get the detail on those agreements, and what happens to make that legally binding as an agreement? So that's the structure, the content of the structure. Obviously, we teach the skills as well. It's quite front loaded, so that you've got a lot of the skills and content at the beginning, so you are able to practice the role plays as well. And like I said, there's interactive activities as well, and active listening and things like that. So that takes about the first 3 days. And then day 4 is, because you've done it in stages, we sew everything together. So all your learnings we're going to put together. So you get to do a 1-hour run through of a brand new role play. So you have a case study. There's 3 case studies for whilst you're learning the 3 days of stages and structure. And then day 4 is a brand new role play where you take it from the very beginning and you go for an hour. And you don't have to solve it in an hour. You just have to move forwards and practice the skills and the structure within that hour. And then from the hour, we treat that as a mock for the assessment. We then give you very detailed and constructive feedback so that you can improve. Because what we want you to do on day 5 is pass the assessment. Yeah, so we will give you very, very constructive feedback so that you are able to then succeed in the assessment on the 5th day. So that's kind of what the training content is. The accreditation you asked for, well, we are approved by what I've been talking about, the International Mediation Institute, and obviously there's a lot of people here from India. I imagine that's going to appeal to you guys, the international qualification. We are also approved by the Civil Mediation Council of England and Wales. So that's another kite mark stamp of quality. And we are also approved by Mediator Network, who I mentioned before. They are very good at helping people with their journey, starting out as a mediator. You know, what do you do? How do you go about it? How can you market yourself? We also have linked with Comms Gateway, which is also helps mediators to market themselves. They have different packages, including a free package, which they offer our delegates. So those are the accreditations you can get. You can choose which one you want. You know, I imagine those of you from India will want the IMI. Those from England and Wales would want the CMC. There's slightly different assessments for each. The IMI is a 1 hour role play and a portfolio. The CMC is 2 hours of role play with a break in the middle. So those are the accreditations that you get. And the benefits, I think, I've probably already covered about, you know, the qualifications you get, the skill set, the applicability to daily life. So yes, so I think, you know, that's how we do it in our training. And, you know, we like to keep it lively. We like to, you know, have some fun with it as well, because we do recognise it's intense, but we like to be supportive and help everyone to get through that final assessment.
Ma'am, my first question is, if someone is not able to pass the assessment, then what's and how to proceed with that?
Okay, so there's not many people fail the assessment, but it does happen, because obviously we do have the quality that we have to keep. So we can't pass everyone, sadly. So the assessment is done by an independent assessor. It's not done by me. I mean, I'd pass you all, obviously. So that's why I'm not allowed to be an assessor. It has to be an independent assessor, someone who's not met you during the training. So what we do is the assessor will either live assess, they'll join the online call, or we record it for the assessor, and she will look at it at a later date. It just depends on her availability. And if you were to be to fail, then what we would do is we would offer you the opportunity to do another course for free, and all you would need to pay is the assessment fee. So that's it, you know, but you don't have to take us up on the offer of doing another course. But I would obviously strongly suggest that you do. If you've not passed, I would strongly suggest that you jump on another course, because skills go if you don't practice them. And even though you can practice them in daily life, if you leave a big gap before the next you do a reassessment, things will have started to fade. So that's why I always would ask you to join another cohort and do the assessment with them.
Thank you, ma'am, for clearing such a doubt. I request the participants, if you have any doubts related to the mediation training program or any other doubt related to mediation, you may ask to ma'am. Ma'am is here with us till 5 exactly. Yes, please, Mr. Kapil, sir, you can ask.
Hi, Emma. This is Kapil. I'm a practicing advocate in Delhi. Now, just wanted to find out, like, I'm a slow learner, and I categorically say that. So what is like your review policy? Like, let's say I have done a coaching course, also, like I'm a trained life coach. Now their policy of reviewing a course, and I'm not say like in terms of assessment, but if there is, if I anytime in the year, if there is a batch, they are running a batch, I can go and join. So is there a review policy, and if it is there, what do you charge for that?
Yeah, so there's not really a review policy as such, but first of all, can I just say, if you have coaching skills, then they lend themselves very, very nicely to mediation. The skills you will find are extremely similar. In terms of being a slow learner, a lot of us are. Then what I do is the core learnings I deliver by way of lecture, and I video record them and give them to you in stages in advance. And the beauty of doing the course over weekends is, I mean, you probably work during the week, but I suppose in the evenings you could review the videos of the main lectures. So the resources are there for you. I've also got demos recorded for each of the stages, and likewise you would have them and you could repeatedly look at them. So the resources are there. And like I say, the beauty of doing it over the weekends is you've got extra time in between the weekends to reflect on what you've learned, to consolidate, and like I say, to review the main learnings because they are videoed for you. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. That answers not only answers my question, but more than that. Thank you.
Great.
Yes, okay. Yes, Chandrika, you may ask your question, please. Chandrika,
Hello, ma'am. This is a very great session. I learned so many things, so new things about the international mediation trainings. Ma'am, I have a doubt. Like as I am pursuing my LLM in ADR, so I have an interest to become an independent mediator. So this international mediation training, like I have a skill to negotiate, bargain, and to bring out the dispute to a particular point. So, ma'am, how can I join this training, and what is the process for joining such training, ma'am?
Manya, I think I'll pass to you for that. So how
Yeah.
can she join the training?
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Hi, Chandrika. If you want to join the particular training program, especially in the January weekend batch, you may join it by going through this website. I am putting down the link for each and every one. You may go through our website link and you may check up there. And there is a training box in which the International Civil and Commercial Training Program has been put it down there. You may go through that. You may fulfill the Google form. You may look out your whatever the requirements of yours. It's been each and everything is mentioned there. Student fees is especially mentioned there. Professional fees is especially mentioned there. You may look up your dates and join us with us. And ma'am only will be the trainer. So yeah, you will be having, I think so, no doubt. If you have any doubts, you may share us with our email ID, and you can also book our voice call. Book an appointment of voice call. We can happy to help you. Yes, and the link has been attached up there. If you are able to see that, you can click on that, and you may fill the Google form up there, and you may then fill up your query form also if you have, and then you can book yourself. Yes.
Yeah, that's in the
Okay.
chat now.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. It's a great opportunity for us that you are the trainer for us. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Oh, I'm delighted.
Yes, Chandrika. Yeah. Anyone else? You may have any question? Yes,
I just
sorry.
want to add, so I just wanted to add that, we've got the January weekender course planned, but if you can't join that and you are interested in doing this, do still get in touch and let us know, and we'll put on more courses to suit demand.
Yes, it's fine. It's very well. Then if you are not able to join the January batch, as said to ma'am, you can join the further batches coming up as per whatever the schedules said by ma'am. So yes, Bharti, you may ask your question directly to ma'am if you have. Bharti Chittu. So Bharti has a question in a chat box to me directly. The question is, for students, what can law students to take part in mediation, and how to contribute in order to learn a mediation? Yes, Bharti, that's only a question.
Yes.
Yes, you may ask directly to ma'am, please.
So, hello, ma'am. I'm a law student. So, I'm really interested in mediation. So, I wanted to know, like, if I want to learn mediation, so how can I contribute or like take part?
Okay, so first of all, the link is in the chat as to how to join the course. And I think Manny's just explained that there are student discounts in there. So if you go to the link in the chat, click that and have a look there. But I think this does particularly suit law students. It'll give you that extra edge when you leave university and look for a job in law. I know from when I worked at the university, I was there for 15 years, and the students who did the mediation training were definitely looked on favourably by employers. And, you know, if you wanted to take it a step further, you could set up a mediation clinic at your university, so you can practice the skills there. There's also things that you could do as a law student. There's an international mediation competition run by the International Academy of Dispute Resolution, and that is an excellent competition. There's other international competitions that are copycats, but the INADR international competition is the original and very, very worthwhile. So if you do the training, you'd be well set up to compete in that, which again is great for your CV as a law student to do things like that. So it really is very good for law students to do this. There was a Lord Newburgh in England said that for mediation to become second nature, to change that culture away from litigation, we need to embed that mediation training from the very start of a lawyer's training. So, you know, the Lords are saying that over here. So to do mediation training as a law student will be excellent for you, I would say.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll look over the course.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bharti. Is there anyone else who want to ask a question, anything related to mediation or any query related to mediation training? We are very happy to help you all.
Just see if there's anything in the chat.
And I have also put down the specially civil and commercial mediation training link in the chat box. You may go through that. If you have any doubts, you may ask any query to us by either emailing us or by either booking your phone appointment call.
I see Bill's mentioned in the very funnily in the chat. I don't know if you've read this, Manya. He describes himself as a repentant lawyer who, having worshipped in the satanic church of litigation for over a quarter of a century, converted to the one true church of mediation. Well done, you've been converted, you've seen the light.
It's great to know, Bill also. It's great. You may, you know, anyone else want to share any mediation experience with us, or anyhow how you came up into this mediation line? Anyone? I request Kapil sir, if please he can share his views so that we can also correlate or our other participants can correlate also.
I'm one thing which from an Indian perspective, which is strange for me, is like government has introduced compulsory pre-litigation mediation. And I'm not sure like how many trained mediators are there in India. So that is disturbs me, like, because I am not really a lawyer as.
Sir, you are muted. Please unmute yourself.
You're muted. I don't know if you had anything else to say. The last thing I heard you say, though, was that I think you said that you're not a lawyer. Honestly, it doesn't matter. If you are not a lawyer, it doesn't matter, because you get taught everything that you need to know. I know many mediators who do not have a legal background, and they are excellent mediators. And sometimes it's a benefit to not be a lawyer, because you're not tempted to give legal advice. You don't know it, so you can't give the advice. So not being a lawyer is not it's not a hindrance at all. It really doesn't matter if you're a lawyer or not. Like I say, law students who aren't even qualified lawyers yet, it's great for them as well.
Yeah, I understand that, because as a trained coach, I know listening is important, and as a coach, I don't advise my clients. It's their solution.
Exactly, and I think it would suit your skill set extremely well, because the skills are extremely similar.
Thank you, Emma.
Yes, Shreya, you may ask your question, please.
Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, actually, I am looking forward to join the training in the January, and I have a question relating to CMC recognition. Actually, I have read somewhere that CMC requires the physical assessment, but this is an online training. So, is it going to affect us afterwards or something?
No, the rules have changed. Okay, so that's great news for you being in India. The rules have changed. They are now allowing online assessment. It was because mediation always used to be face-to-face training, and then when the pandemic struck, all the mediation training providers were, what do we do? And the Civil Mediation Council said, okay, we'll allow online training, but you've got to do the assessment in person. That has been trialed, and it was very difficult for people in COVID to get in person to do the assessment. It was, we did it, and it was very, very difficult. But we've proved now to the Civil Mediation Council that the online training is just as good as being in person, and that the results, the assessments, are still high quality. So the Civil Mediation Council has now relaxed itself and says that it will now do allow online assessment. So that's good news.
Thank you, ma'am. Really looking forward to have interaction with you in the session.
I'm looking forward to having you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Shreya, for asking such amazing question.